Hello and welcome to Mirror Talk. We have moments where we just have to pause. Just pause and take a break and reflect on life. Remember, you are strong, you are enough, you are capable, you are blessed, and you are loved. Your moment of greatness starts now. Today's guest is a writer, a poet, and a doctor. She has been writing from the age of 9 and has had some of her articles published in magazines and books. I'm so happy to have you here today. Dr. Mariam Alayande, how have you been?
Well, I've been great. How have you been? Thank you so much for having me here. I'm truly honored.
Thank you for honoring the invitation. I'm glad that you're doing fine and everything's good. That's great. So, you have this really amazing blog where you post poems, articles, stories, and more. It's called mariamalayonde.com. Can you tell me about you? Tell me about your work and the inspiration behind your work.
Okay. Well, like you said, I started writing at the age of 9, and I just used to find myself wandering in libraries, and then I just found this section called literature, and I'm like, what's that? And then I found myself reading books and, poems and stuff. But I think the most fascinating work I ever came across was poetry. And it was just like, okay, there's this thing that rhymes, they are short, they're not stories. It was just fascinating. And then before I knew it, I started writing things, and from there, I started writing more and more and more and more. And finally, the blog came to pass, and then I started putting stuff on the blog and just putting it out there for people to see and read. And since then, it's been elaborate from the poetry. It's gone to short stories, gone to long stories, and it's gone to what else again? Articles and then spoken words sometimes. So it's basically been a long journey, but it's been progress and growth all through.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing. I just want us to take a minute now, just for you to pause and reflect right now on the phase of life that you're in right now. How has your journey been so far? Can you share that with me?
Oh, life. Okay. I think the beautiful thing about being a writer is that when you think about your life and your work, they have this way they sync together. For example, now every single poem I've written, I can tell you what kind of phase I was in life at that point in time. Although most of my works are not personal, but in a way they reflect who I was or who I am at that particular time. But also, it's been okay. I don't know if I can use the word crazy. But it's been crazy. I'll put that in quotes. It's been crazy. Yeah, it's been. But most of my work actually talk about love, actually. I just realized a lot of things talk about love, talk about pain, talk about self-love, talk about relationships, and basically just our journey as humans completely. So now the phase I would say I'm in is mostly self-love, actually. Mostly. Because I guess I just come to that point like, okay, now you just got to love yourself and find yourself. And I mean, you get to know so many people in this world, so why not get to know you? I mean, you're the most important person in your own life, so why not you? So I think that's the point that I am right now. Self-love and trying to also get people to also see that it's very important for you to love yourself. Because once you love yourself, everything else comes in with that.
So what does self-love actually mean to you? What does it mean to you that when you say, I love myself?
Okay, for me, self-love means that I have learned to accept myself and not blame myself for anything that is done. It doesn't mean I won't, of course, doesn't mean I won't be able to actually, how do I say this? Doesn't mean I won't actually be able to say, okay, this thing you've done is wrong or right. But I've learned to accept myself with everything, like physically, mentally, emotionally. I accept that, okay, this is what it is right now, and this is me right now. So I have to love me at this point in time. Now, this might not be good, but I have to love me through it to get to a better place.
Wow, that's good. That's good. So, are there practices that you carry out to love yourself? Like, how can I love myself? How can I learn to love myself, or how can I practice self-love?
Okay, that's complex. Well, okay, I think this is actually different from different people. For me, first of all, okay, let's say it's all broken down in different parts. Let's start from emotionally now. And it's important to learn because, okay, now for example, self-love is not something that you just learn and say, okay, now I've learned how to love myself. This is how it's going to be. It's not set in stone. It's a progress. So today it might be like, okay, this is how I love myself. Tomorrow it's going to be different. So when it comes to emotionally, you learn to do things the way you want them to be done. You do not let people come into your personal space. You respect everybody
Yeah.
else's personal space. You discern on who is good for you, who's not good for you, what's good for you, what's not good for you. And then, of course, you come into meditation, yoga, positive affirmations. And then we talk about probably physical, eating healthy, trying to love yourself whichever way you are at that point in time. And
Yes.
of course, that comes to skincare routine also. Although a lot of people put a lot of importance to, like, if you're actually able to keep up with the skincare routine, it means you're taking good care of yourself. So of course, you do all this, you still have to feed your mind, which means you have to read books to help your mind grow and things like that. So I think
Yeah.
those are the major ones for me.
So like reading books and taking care of yourself
Taking good care of
physically,
yourself, physically and mentally, and
emotionally.
feeding your mind. Very important. And keeping your space positive and clean. That means you might actually have to kick people out of your life. So you might actually have to do the hard thing just to make your own self more comfortable.
Yes, like breaking up relationships that are bad for you.
Yes, are bad for you. And this point is when people usually say things like they don't like to block people. I think for me, I say sometimes you may actually have to do that, especially when it's someone that is really toxic for you in life and they would not go without a fight. So it's sometimes you may just have to submit to that or blocking the person, especially when you told them, sorry, this cannot work, or whatever friendship it is, or the kind of negative energy you're bringing to me or to my life is not something I want, and they still don't change, then you can't change anyone. So all you have to do is, okay, you have to cut them off and try not to feel guilty about it.
Nice. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Sometimes I always feel guilty. I mean, or people feel guilty about, breaking up relationships because you feel so sentimental about it. But hearing this from you now, it's like an affirmation like, yeah, it's important.
It's
Actually.
important, yeah. You come first. You come first.
You come first.
Yes. And most people think when you say you come first, that means you're selfish. It means you don't love other people or you wouldn't give them. But what I've realized is that when you say you come first and when you take good care of yourself and everything about you, you tend to even care more about other people and everything about them because you want to treat them the same way you treat you. It might not be exact, but even people that are strangers, you tend to care more about them through this whole process. So even loving yourself kind of teaches you better how to love others, which is actually a very great thing about it.
Yes. So I follow you on Instagram, and I've been following you for quite a while now. And I see how much you love art. I see you snapping pictures in galleries and just celebrating art. So can you talk to me about your love for art and how it influences you? What does it do to you?
Okay. When I think about art, I see so many things. We have the paintings, we even have writings, we have movies, we have music. I put all that on the art. So let's talk about paintings first. It's more like a very silent way of passing a message. Every single person you ask, what do you see? They see something different. That's just magnificent. They keep saying something different. They have a different interpretation to everything. And sometimes I actually wonder if art just shows us something that is deep within us that we are trying so hard to talk about. Well, or those are actually the ones that don't really say something, but the ones that say something directly, they just eat you in different ways. It's amazing. And then of course you have music. All those things are just like major inspirations for my work. Music, movies, and then of course other people's writings also.
So they influence you in some ways, like positively, and makes you much more creative.
Yes.
Also. So now I want you to talk to me about equality. What's your take on equality in the world right now at this moment? something much serious. What's your take on equality?
Yes. Oh, okay. This topic definitely is something that stresses everybody, whether we like to admit it or not.
Yeah.
But of course, with the whole, what can we say, the rise of feminism, but now I'd say when it comes to equality, it's basically very broad. We have feminism, we have the LGBTQ people, we also have even for the masculine guy. Okay, for the guys, I don't know what it's called. Does it have a name on its own? Okay. But when you think about equality, of course, you're thinking about equal rights for everybody, no matter who you are, what you are, your gender, your religion, your tribe, where you're from, your color, everything matters. And we even see what happened recently about the whole race thing. And although I feel like the whole world had it coming, but my question is, even with that, does that still make permanent changes? do people go out and say, okay, now we are more informed about things like really race, and then we wouldn't do this again, or things like that? I really don't know. But I just hope some people actually got to learn from it and to see things from a different perspective.
Yeah. But you think we're improving in terms of equality currently?
Well, with the race, I would say, okay, from my own experience, I think people are more informed now about things like that.
Yeah.
But there's some places that we still haven't touched when it comes to equality. We haven't touched it at all. We haven't.
Yes.
In places when it comes to like religion, comes to tribe, some of these things are things we try not to even talk about. Don't try to talk about the old religion thing. We don't try to talk about the tribe. And for feminism, that's a different one entirely on its own.
What's feminism to you? What does it mean to you?
All right. To me, feminism, of course, means equal rights for women, like for everything, socially, politically, economically. It's very important that we have equal rights. And although most people try to deviate feminism from that, then it starts becoming things like, oh, these people just hate men, or they do this and they do that. And recently, I've seen people that say things that happen to be their own personal opinion, and people just go and target as, okay, now this person is saying this, and it means this is what feminists believe. And it feels wrong because people just say, okay, now this is this person saying their own opinion about life, about a particular thing, and all of a sudden now it has become, oh, this is what feminists think, which I feel is very wrong. So I think there's so many things we need to work on. And when it even comes to this, let me share something that happened to me, I think about 2-3 years ago. No, is that long? Okay, no, let's say about 5 years ago. I went to a dinner party and I was just talking to some friends after. I had actually performed spoken word poetry there. So someone comes up to me and then the person was commending the performance, and then I don't remember the exact thing that went on, and then he goes, "Oh, you're feminist," and I'm like, yes, I mean, I believe in equal rights for myself. And then he just went back and he just took 2 steps backward and it was like, no, you and I can't be friends. We cannot be friends. And the way he looked at me, I almost felt like, sorry, excuse me, did I murder someone? I mean, I just said I'm a feminist. Did I say something else wrong? He was like, no, we cannot be friends. We cannot be friends. And he just walked away. And till today, I still feel shocked that somebody would associate that word with something so negative that it made me feel like I killed somebody. And I'm like, what's so wrong in me wanting equal rights? What's so wrong in me wanting the same thing you have? What's so wrong in that? There's nothing wrong in that. But I've seen people do this over and over in different ways of certain people that say they are feminists the same way. Even women also. They do the same thing and say, okay, no, I believe in equal rights, but I'm not a feminist. It's the same thing. If you believe in equal rights, you're a feminist. And as a feminist too, it's not just your own rights to stand for. You also stand for the rights of men too, because you believe in equality, which means everybody has to be able to balance on the scale. Because sometimes things happen to women and I'm like, okay, let's put it the other way around. If it was a guy, would we react the same way? Because we have to make sure there's no double standards there. So same thing with the guys. If something happens, put it the other way around. If it was a woman, would it be the same reaction to this? I mean, so that's true. It's super, super, super complex.
I think you made a mention of the key point there, as in it's about having this equality, equal rights, like treating everyone, each gender, equally.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, we have to acknowledge that, okay, there's so many things, right? There's so many things that happen that are attached to feminism that might be flawed, which might be giving people this negative perception. So we actually have to acknowledge that. And some people have said things about feminism being more for the Western women, white women, than for black women, which was when some people decided to have their own womanism, which is supposed to be like the African feminism. But there's no way for us to get to the goal we want if we keep trying to break sides and say, okay, no, this one is this one is that. So that's why I stick to this is to feminism. We know what it means already. Let's just stick to that and work on it and just make sure everybody has equal rights. Because I can't even imagine where I would be if I did not find feminism. I mean, of course, I grew up in Nigeria where most people will tell you things like, oh, you can't do that because you're not a man, which is always very insulting. No, you can't do that. No, you're a man. You can't do that. I mean, come on, only men do that.
Yes.
So thank God. Thank God for feminism.
But are there like actions or characters that you would love to attribute or address? Because some people do some things under the umbrella of feminism and they are not it's not actually feminism. So are there things like that you've seen before and like, oh no, that's not feminism?
Oh wow, there's been a lot. A lot, and I try so hard not to think about them. But can I listen? Let's try to hunt them down one by one.
Yes, please. So that people will not look at that and say, "Oh, but that's feminism, right?" But what was that like? You understand?
Things like cooking, actually, because I've seen people come on and say things, especially when men try to go with a line of, okay, women are meant to cook. Women come and say, okay, they're not meant to cook. And some people go ahead and defend the whole cooking with, okay, I'm a feminist, I don't need to know how to cook. No, that does not apply.
Yeah.
Being a feminist means you believe in equal rights. Cooking is like a basic, what's it called? It's a basic life skill that everybody should know how to do. I mean, you can't tell me you don't know how to feed yourself. That's basic. That's very, very important. So you can't come and use feminism as a guide of saying, well, I have the right to do whatever I want. Yes, you do. But cooking is a basic life skill. You cannot put that under feminism. Everybody's supposed to know how to cook. So that's the only one I can actually really think of right now. But I'm sure there are a lot of them, especially on Twitter, actually. There are a lot of them.
At this particular stage in the world, with everything that is in the world where with everything that's going on right now, do you think there's hope for humanity, and how can we improve humanity with all the the racism and the fight for equality, the feminism clashes, and everything that's going on, and is there hope for humanity? What do you think?
Well, I can't say there is no hope. So definitely there has to be hope. There has to be hope.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important that we just learn to love ourselves. Because I think that's the base for everything. Once we are able to love ourselves and we are able to love everybody else around us, even strangers, that way we're going to treat them with love. And with that, we're not going to have any problem. That's it. Something happened to me recently that made me realize that, okay, before, whenever I'm driving, I always see bike guys as the devils. They're always coming in left and right and trying to bash you. And you're like, I do not want to end up in the hospital today. Although I had a crash one time like that, and it was the bike guy's fault. And that day, I was so scared that, okay, I could have actually killed somebody, and it's your fault. I could have actually died, and it's your fault. So now when I see bad guys, I used to be like, okay, now these crazy people again, just go and let me go. But then something happened, and I saw someone that had an accident. I picked them up, I took them to the hospital, and it was almost about to give up in the car, and I was super scared. And I felt like I knew this person. And at that point in time, I was more concerned about, please just stay alive and at least just survive. And at that point in time, it just made me realize that these are the same people I always say, just go when I'm driving. And I'm like, okay, now I can see this person now. I don't even know this person. And I pick them up and took them to the hospital. So now, what does this make me? It just makes me feel like this person is just as human as I am, even though I used to see them from like the outside part. So since then, my driving has changed. It's just like, okay, now let's be careful. Bike guy, let us all be careful. You go separately, I go separately. Do not let us crash into ourselves. I do not want to end up in the hospital today. So I think one major thing I learned from that is we are just all humans, and we just have to try our best to just love one another. It might not be easy when we just look at it from the outside, say, okay, love. It's not that easy, but we just have to try. We just have to try harder.
Yeah, I mean, yes, humanity involves, loving each other, accommodating one another in this planet, and also being kind to one another, as your story also illustrated. Like, you picked up the guy, you took him to the hospital. That's being kind to someone. That's basic humanity 101, I guess.
That's true. Actually, but there could have been so many legal ramifications to the whole thing. Well, I didn't think that through. I didn't even take a video. And I didn't realize that until later, and I'm like, yo, oh my God. And even the doctors were like, they would never have actually done that in Nigeria. I mean, come on, anything could have gone wrong. What would you have done? And I'm like, okay. I think the only mistake I made was not taking the video from the beginning. So I think I've learned my lesson.
as a proof in case anything goes wrong.
Exactly. In case anything goes wrong. But just imagine if I wasn't the only one that stopped. Imagine like 2, 3, 4 other people stopped and we all go together. There we do not need any proof because we are the proof ourselves. But one person did follow me. One of the bad guys that stopped did follow me with him. So it was basically like my alibi. So he told them what happened also. So they knew that it wasn't me that did anything to the guy. So he supported me. So that's like humanity coming off there. Because if he didn't go with me, it would have just been my word. Okay, it was my brother and I that were in the car. My brother and I's word against whatever could have happened. Because they don't know. They were not there.
Yes. And it might not be enough for them to like say...
okay, yes. You didn't do anything wrong. That's true.
Yeah, I was asking the question because, in this busy world, right? Everyone is like rushing somewhere, going somewhere, and if something like that happens, you'll be like, okay, I don't have time for this right now. I can't deal with this. I have to go or something, and you just leave the guy there. But humanity should involve, people running around you, like help to like offering of helping hand, for example, just to do things.
I mean, you could have died. Who knows? I mean, anything could have happened to him.
Yeah.
You have to
Can you
think
hear me?
about this. It could be your own family member, and nobody would stop just because they know the person that they are rushing. It could even be you. You will never know where we're gonna end up. So most of these things,
True.
when you do them, you don't always think, okay, maybe it's to come back to me. Maybe I'm doing this so that one day somebody would help me. You don't pull the strings like that, but you never know what's gonna happen. So you have to try to treat other people like you would want yourself to be treated. I wouldn't want anyone to leave someone I know there without doing anything. So I guess the same thing applies.
Yes, that's true. I'm currently on this journey of self-improvement, and that's the whole essence of this podcast. So do you have like tips or habits that I can cultivate to ensure that I live a better life?
Okay, better life. That's almost like saying self-love.
Yes.
Like self-love equals to
Yeah.
better life.
Yes. I mean, if I love myself, then that's a journey to living a better life too. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. And doing things that are important to you, and actually loving those around you, that actually helps you to live a better life, and actually making time for them. Because sometimes we get so used to those that are living around us, or those people are just around us, and we just get so used to them, we don't even get to know them. Like, for example, let me ask you, what's your friend's favorite color? Your best friend's favorite color?
That's a very difficult question for me to answer. But I think I have like a friend that loves red, for example, but I'm not sure that's a favorite
Okay,
color.
okay. But you just
Yes,
imagine, because
red.
it was the day I said that, I was just thinking, what's this friend's favorite color? What about this other one? I don't know. Why don't I know? I mean, these are people that we call our close friends, and at the same time, we don't even try to know them better than we do know them already. So I do think if we give that extra effort, that's also a part of the way to improve ourselves. But okay, now let's be selfish in a good way. And just like about just you, of course, you have to think about your health, what you put into your mouth, into your body, exercise, even what you say to yourself is also very important.
Yes.
Because some people just keep on saying negative things, and you don't know, these things are more like, what do you call negative affirmations? I don't think they have really negative affirmations, because over time it builds up, and that is what your brain just believes that, okay, this is what it is. So you have to be intentional about every single thing you put into your head. Everything you say to yourself, you have to be very, very intentional about it. I think that way it's definitely, and of course what you read. I think people really underrate reading, but there are books that will definitely change, if not your life, at least your mindset. Definitely. So we have to actually read more. This generation, we have to read more, because books can do a lot more for us.
So I should spend less time on Instagram and pick up a book and
Well,
read a little bit.
yes, that would help actually. Spending less time on Instagram, yes. Sometimes I actually take social media breaks. I just came back from one, probably like a week or 2 weeks. I just go offline completely, and I only take calls, and it's always great actually.
How was that? How were you able to go through 1 week without social media?
I was happy actually. I almost forgot what social media was. But then I had to win myself back into like, okay, come on. I mean, we're social animals. We need to be social either way. But you just have to be able to keep it all in check. But it's amazing. I mean, you get to focus more on everything around you, even your work, even when you're driving, things. You just focus more on everything else. And you're not there like, okay, I just got stuff on Instagram. Oh, what am I going to post today? You don't think about that, because like, what am I doing? I just want to enjoy life on its own. So I think it's always important for us to always take time and just ground ourselves, go into nature, just try to figure more things out, and just stay on your phone and be on social media. But of course, it has advantages, but of course, it also has disadvantages. So I'm saying break once in a while would not actually hurt anyone. Because most people say with their mouth, oh, I can do without it. Try it. Just try it and see how it goes.
It's quite difficult.
Because when I first started it was like, oh, wow, where's my phone? And sometimes you actually forget you have a phone. Then you realize the major thing you do on your phone is social media. That's a major thing you do on your phone. Social media. You're like, oh, wow, this is interesting.
You hardly make phone calls, actually. You're always on Instagram or on WhatsApp or or Facebook.
So that way you learn to appreciate every single thing more. And okay, when I'm talking to this person, not like I'm just chatting, blah, 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 like a robot, and then next thing. So taking breaks definitely is very, very important. Very important.
Yes.
Even if it's
I'm going
2
to look
days,
into
I
that.
think it should actually work. Even if it's just 2 days, or even one day. Today I'm just gonna
Okay.
be me, just me without a phone.
For 1 hour, for example.
Well, that can also work. But imagine when you go out, do you have a okay? Of course. Oh, I forgot to mention this when it comes to self love. You definitely have to take yourself out. I do that on a regular. I take myself out on dates, buy myself flowers. You have to be able to treat yourself good. That's very important. So when you take yourself out on dates,
You,
okay,
you,
when the cinemas were still open, it used to be awkward because when they say, "Oh, ticket for how many people?" and you're like, "One," you're like, "What's wrong with you? You want to watch a movie alone?" And the first time I actually did that, I was nervous. I was like, "This is so weird. Only me in the cinema. Why?" Well, for some reason, I haven't tend to enjoy the movie more, and I'm like, "Oh well, I think I'll do this again." I did it again and again. I'm like, "Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing." You have to be
wow.
able to treat yourself well, and you notice
Yeah.
more about people when you're actually probably you're even dining alone. I mean, you see so many people talking or being on their phone, but then you can see everything that's going on around you, and you're like, "Well, I'm getting to focus more on my food and everybody around instead of being on Instagram when I'm having lunch for dinner." So
Like that tip, and I think I'm going to try that out. Sometimes I always like depend on other friends before going out. So sometimes I'm always like, oh, I'm not going out today because my friend is not
it's not
available, or
available.
this one is not.
It's not easy, but you just have to try. Once you do it a couple of times, you get used to it. Certainly get used to it.
Nice, nice. Thank you for that. So I like asking this question. I like asking this question. This podcast is called Mirror Talk because I'm taking this time to like pause and reflect on life and lessons that I'm learning from my personal experiences and from other people's journey. So how do you reflect on issues of life, and do you also stand in front of a mirror to like think about life? Do you do that sometimes, or do you have other methods of reflecting?
Okay, I don't do the mirror thing, but I'm a big fan of keeping a journal because I feel
Hmm.
a lot of things that happen, we tend to forget them. So I take a while to just read back and go through things, and that way you be okay, this is where things started to go wrong. This is where things could have been fixed. So this is actually not good. Although for the whole accountability thing, I think I do it almost daily. Every single day, I try to think about what has happened, what I could have done better, what I could have said instead, or the way I could have handled an issue that might actually have been much more better than the way I did. So yeah, that's how I just keep everything in check and reflect. And of course, when I do with the journals, I have a note where I write, okay, this is what I learned from this particular thing. So it's very, very important to keep going back to what I learned, just so I don't forget that, okay, I learned this whole thing before I repeat the same mistake again and have to learn the same lesson again. Although that has happened
Yes.
sometimes, I feel like sometimes we just keep repeating the same mistakes until we actually learn it and not just understand, and also understand why we had to do that and why we shouldn't have done that.
Hmm. Yes, yes. And I don't know, do you have like some tips on that? Like how do you like avoid repeating the same mistakes? Like sometimes I find myself in situations like this too. I'm like, I've done this before and I've told myself I'll never do this again. But months afterwards I find myself doing it again.
Well, okay, that's a little complex. I think it just depends on what you keep making, what mistake you're actually making. Because I feel sometimes we just need to learn that lesson multiple times for it to stick. Because if you say, okay, I learned my lesson from this, but it didn't hit you hard enough, and you yourself are not even compelled to say, I don't want to do this again, then you probably still make the same mistake again. So you have to be able to understand, go back to the whole thing, understand why it happened, understand what's making you do that thing over and over again. Because sometimes it might not even be about the mistake you're making, it might be about a particular thing in your character that makes you compelled to do that same thing over and over again. So you have to basically do the inner search and find out where the problem is coming from, and then you can try to fix it. But that doesn't mean you might not make the same mistake again, but you just know that one day you're going to learn that lesson. So you're just going to keep learning till you finally get it. So you can't
Keep
afford
on
to be
learning to
blaming
finally
yourself
get
like,
it.
oh, I did it again. It's okay, you did it again. But now what are you going to do about it?
I should not beat myself up on it, but take action on it and
Take
say,
action in it and
yes, I have to.
be kind
Yeah.
to yourself when you're doing that. Be kind to yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes.
Thank you so much for that. Is there any other thing you would love to, any words of wisdom you would love to throw to me, like things to like on maybe taking actions in life, for example, or on other topics that you are very passionate about that I have not asked you so far?
I'd say, okay, we tend to, as humans, also we tend to forget a lot about things. For example, look at when the whole thing happened with the rape case of Ura and two, three, four other girls. and I think we had about 3 cases in Ibadan. And social media was all really, really, justice for justice, 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 justice. And we don't even know if there was justice or anything at the end of the day, and everything just went quiet. And for me now, I've just been wondering what happened, because I just stopped hearing about this. I tried to check, did they catch them or not? We don't know. And I'm wondering, so after everything we said, what happens next? I mean, we said justice for who, justice for what? Did we get justice? Do we even know if we got justice for this? And we go silent about this topic, and we don't talk about them anymore. And we wait till something like that happens again before we go and say, okay, now we'll talk about it again, and then we go silent until it happens again. So I think it's very important we talk about these things even when it's not happening, so that we can actually try our best to prevent it. So not just about following the trend and say, hashtag this, hashtag that. It's about, this is a problem. We need to address this. We need to make sure we check people that are rape apologists, the people that are actually doing things that are wrong, and we can see them doing it. We have to check them and make sure that doesn't go by just like that. So it's very important that we do things about these kind of things without them being a trend. It should actually be implemented in the school systems one way or another. Of course, I have heard the radio stations talking about this, and I even think Big Brother did something about the whole thing. I don't know when it was. I think I saw it on Instagram yesterday, probably a few days ago, I think. So, but I want to say personally now, it comes to us. We need to be able to do something about it. We need to talk about this even amongst our friends. I think that's enough. That's the minimum we can do. Talk about it among our friends. We try to educate our own selves better. Because some people would actually have really interesting mindsets about saying, okay, for example, when I was way, way, way younger, I used to hear when ladies used to say, when they say no, it means that they're actually wanting more. Okay, I've also seen that in a tweet. When they say no, it means they just want you to try harder. And at that point in time, to me, it's kind of like the norm. Like, okay, when ladies say no, they want you to try harder. Imagine me, a kid, like 8 years old, having to be, understanding that, okay, when someone says no, it means try harder. But it never made sense. Until I realized, when you say no, it should mean no. Why are you trying to, should we use the word form and say, okay, if I just say yes at once, then maybe that's going to work.
That's too easy.
So that's things that we need to address. You can't be saying no when you mean yes. That's not how this works. That's a different section entirely that just confuses the entire word. So when you say no, it has to be no. If you want to say yes, then say yes. There's no, okay, and I want this person to try harder. That's not how it works. Because some men actually have that mindset of, okay, when women say no, then they mean try harder. But that's wrong. Yeah. So now we're trying to make sure everybody changes. So this is not just about a man. It's not that a men thing. Because also there are women that actually do rape men also. So it's everybody that needs to change their mindset if they actually do have that kind of mindset. When you say no, it has to mean no. If you want to say yes, say yes. There's no, I'm saying no because I want to mean try harder. That doesn't work. If that person might think you are easy, then fine. If they want to subscribe to that kind of mindset, then leave them. Let them be. But you have to make sure your no means no and your yes means yes.
And that applies to us personally, in our individual lives, like being direct and being, clear about what you want.
About what you want. It's very, very important. You have to state it clearly. That even applies to relationships also. When people can't communicate to their partner about what they want exactly, and then they get angry when their partner does not do the thing that they are thinking in their mind. Your partner is not a mind reader. How are they going to know this is what you want? So you have to be able to express where your feelings. Tell this person, this is what I want. Your friends, this is what I want. This is what I do not like. This is what I would like you to do for me. Then that's it. That's clear.
Well, I mean, this could be a little bit challenging because sometimes I catch myself in some phases when I'm asking myself, Toby, what do you actually want? What do you actually want? and I find it very difficult to answer this question. Like, what do you want?
Okay, I actually do agree that sometimes when we find ourselves questioning things like, okay, what do I want? But when you think about that, doesn't that usually come into your own personal life? Does it usually like involve other people?
Mostly it happens to like what personal life.
Okay, yeah, that's
what do I want for my own self personally?
It's personal life, so that doesn't really cross that line there. So it's just about you. But I think as humans, sometimes we might actually get confused about what we want in life, and that might be because of the stage we are at our development at that point in time. So you don't really know, okay, do I want to do this? Do I don't want to do that? So I think it's fine. So sometimes for you to be confused about your own personal life and your own personal journey, but you still figure out the answer. But when it comes to other people and some things, even if you do not know the answer right away, you can tell the person, right now, I'm not sure about what I want, but please do give me some time to think about this, and then I'll get back to you once I have it figured out. So there they know that you are in a confused state of mind. So everybody understands this
Yes.
person is confused and this person is going to think about it and they're going to figure out what they want and get back to me.
Yeah, I like that. That's very good, actually. Not putting other people into this confusion or into the confused state of mind that you are in currently. Don't disturb other people's journey with your own
Exactly. You have to be able to tell them I'm not that. That also applies. That applies to so many things in relationships when people just drag people into their own mess and then they realize they can't even have the person there. You tell to the person, I'm sorry. Right now, my life is a mess. I cannot accommodate anybody else. It's a fact. Sometimes our lives are just a mess. Most people are like, okay, I think our lives are always a mess one way or another, but we just find a way to just put everything into order, but there's still going to be a mess one place or another. So you have to be told, I'm sorry, my life is super, super, duper messy right now. I cannot have you in it. It's not fair to do this to you. I'll just rather do this on myself. When I'm done with this work, and if you are still probably available or something, I'll get back to you.
Honest answer. Very honest
Yes,
and plain answer.
exactly. And you're considering the
That's what we
person's
need.
feelings in that point in time. You understand how the person feels about you, but it's not fair to bring somebody into a messy situation just because you want them in your life. That's not fair to them.
True. Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Mariam Alayande, for your answers and for educating me today. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I am eternally grateful for your time, your love, and contributions. You mean a lot to me. Thank you once again for listening and sharing with your loved ones. Don't forget to subscribe and follow this journey on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms in the description. Stay blessed.